What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's been an interesting day today. Very interesting day today. So, earlier today, there was news that Tom Brady retired. But I want to ask a question. What is going on? Can somebody tell me what is going on around here? Is he retiring? Is he not retiring? I need an answer. Can somebody please tell me? So in this live stream, I'm going to react to all of my feelings that I've been feeling today. Some sadness, some anger, some joy, and just go through all the emotions and react live with you guys because I'm still waiting to hear if he's officially going to retire. Is it going to actually happen? Because earlier it felt like, and this is the weird thing about it, right? So earlier, I'm going through everything, right? I'm processing, and I've kind of come to the realization that he's going to retire, right? And we've got to move on and all this stuff. So I'm kind of in a joyful state, right? I'm sitting here looking at all these posts about Tom Brady and his career and how great of a player he was and celebrating the legacy of Tom Brady, right? And now I don't know what to think. I don't know whether I should be happy, sad. I don't know if he's returning. These reports, I don't know what went on, but it is just an absolute mess. It is terrible reporting. I don't know if Tom wants to retire, but he wanted to do it on his own terms, so he didn't want it to be leaked. That's my guess. If I had to guess what's going on right now, and if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, because a lot of people just believe that he is retired, and they haven't heard the latest. The latest is that Tom hasn't decided whether he's retired or not, and everybody's been leaking the information that he's retiring. So, what we're rather going to get is an official retirement from Tom Brady, where maybe it's part of the documentary because they still haven't released the final episode of the doc, or if it's going to be an Instagram video or something. I don't know. A press conference, or we're going to get a whole Leonardo DiCaprio Wolf of Wall Street speech about he's not going anywhere, he's not leaving, and he's coming back. So I don't know how to process this, guys. So what I want to do with you guys, I wanted to go live. I want to treat this a little bit as if he's retiring. So I want to use this live stream to get out all of our emotions as Patriots fans, Bucs fans, NFL fans, whatever it may be. So let me know how you're feeling about this right now in the comments. And let me know if you think he's officially going to retire or not, or if he's going to play another season. Because I hate going too early, right? I hate saying goodbye before saying goodbye, We had to do something similar with Gronk where he retired for a year and then he came back So I don't want to have to say goodbye 3 times, bro. I don't want to have to say goodbye 3 times. So if this is the end of Tom Brady, it's the greatest of all time. There's no question about it. There's no debate. Tom Brady's the GOAT. 100%. Everybody knows that, no. Everybody knows that. Everybody should know that. He's the greatest of all time. He's the greatest football player to ever play. He's the greatest quarterback that has ever played and probably that will ever play. His legacy is basically to such a level that it will never be surpassed. And I'm going to be officially making a Tom Brady Haters Part 2. It's the most popular video I've ever made, Part 1. I've been teasing it for a long time that I'll make a Part 2. I'm officially going to make a Part 2 soon, okay? And it's going to be sort of my tribute to Tom Brady. It's not going to be, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be centered around Tom Brady haters. I think it's going to be more so an argument for why he's the GOAT and why he will always be the GOAT. Something to that nature, okay? But in terms of my personal connection with Tom Brady, because whether he retires or not, might as well put it out there, okay? So Tom Brady is basically the reason I love the NFL. Like, he's essentially the reason I love the NFL. I don't know exactly, but I don't know an NFL without Tom Brady. Like, I have never known an NFL without Tom Brady. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that feels like. And I don't know how I'm going to feel when the first week of the NFL season rolls around and Tom Brady's not active and Tom Brady is not playing. I don't know how I'm going to feel. I don't know how I'm going to process it. But I have not known an NFL without Tom Brady. He is the NFL to me. Like, he is the NFL. Without him, I don't know what it's like. And I think the NFL is never going to be the same without him. He is, to me, the embodiment of like what football is all about. The teamwork, the leadership, on the field, off the field, work ethic, the dedication to the game, the intelligence of the game, all of it. He is what a quarterback should be, both on and off the field. He's what a leader should be in this sport. And he's the ultimate winner, really. When you were to describe what football is with a person, it would be Tom Brady. Like, he is football, period. And that's what I kind of think of him. And he's been, like, in many ways, my hero in a lot of ways. You know, a guy that I've looked up to my whole life. He's been playing in the NFL since I was 5 years old. 5 years old. I used to wear this jersey, bro. This jersey. Not this exact one, obviously. But this New England Patriots jersey. I have been wearing this jersey for 21 years, bro. 21 years I've been wearing this. 12. On my chest, on my back. I've been wearing this jersey for 21 years, 22 years. I don't know how many years it's been. I've been wearing this jersey that long. While he's been in the league. I was like 5 years old. I was in the first year of school. And now I've graduated college. Like, this guy has spanned my entire life. He is, in terms of the biggest influence on this channel, like, I wouldn't be making videos without Tom Brady. Like, this wouldn't exist. Like, the Bottom Line View channel would not exist. Guys, like, it wouldn't be a thing. I can't tell you. It's almost, there's no words. There are no words to process, like, what Tom Brady has meant to so many football fans, not just me, but so many football fans. And I can only speak from my experience, but like I said, he's the NFL to me, and he is this channel. You even look at some of my best videos that I've ever made, some of my most popular videos I've ever made. They have Tom Brady in the title. Tom Brady's in the thumbnail. Like, since I think I've been making videos on this channel since like 2014, he has been in some way, shape, or form involved heavily into the channel's content for that many years. So what I'm going to be doing is, if he does officially retire, I'm not sure when this is going to come. I'm not sure when this is going to happen. But when he does officially retire, I've got a lot of plans for content to kind of, give my tribute to Tom Brady. I want to do a Tom Brady week where I'm ranking, his best seasons, his best games, probably a couple different video essays on his career and things, but that's all going to come down the road. It's just a very tough day to process and news to process, because I want it to be like confirmed. I want to know, like I want to be able to say, okay, he's retired, and be able to fully accept it. I would love to see him play another season. Like, there's another side of me. I would love to see him play another season. I would love to see him go out there and play another year. But I would also be totally okay with him retiring. Like, I'd be totally cool with it. And there's two sides to that. Like, would I love to see him play another year? Of course. But then at the same time, understanding that this season, he was the best quarterback in the NFL to me. Like, you guys may disagree, but I could personally say from my heart that Tom Brady retired as the best quarterback in the NFL at age 44. He didn't retire like some of these other great quarterbacks retired. He retired on top. He led the NFL in passing yards. He led the NFL in touchdowns. He was the highest graded quarterback at the position. He was the MVP in my opinion. He really took a team that was injury riddled all year to a great record and a lot of success. And the thing about Tom Brady is, throughout his career, it's amazing how great of a player he's been, but he's been doubted so consistently. And that's the thing that, as a Tom Brady fan, I think you just have to marvel at, is like the beginning of his career, 6th round pick coming out of Michigan. Nobody believed in him. Nobody thought he was anything. Nobody thought he was going to be good. Nobody thought he was going to be a starter even. Nobody thought he was going to make the NFL. Nobody thought he was going to be a backup. Like, that's what we got to realize, this guy's story. I know that we look at him now, especially the younger fans, and say like, yeah, he's Tom Brady. Obviously, he's the greatest of all time. Guys, he was on the Michigan depth chart, like at the bottom of the depth chart. He made his way all the way up to the starter. And then from Michigan, he had incredible success at Michigan, the jersey behind me. And then he was still doubted to the point where he was a 6th round pick. And then he was carried as a 4th quarterback on the roster in 2000. He gets into the lineup by Drew Bledsoe's injury and somehow takes a team to a Super Bowl in his first season, guys. This guy won the Super Bowl in his first season. I understand it was his 2nd year, but it was his first season. He was basically a rookie. He did not lose a playoff game until he won 3 Super Bowls. Do you know how insane that is? Like, I remember seeing stats when I was 10 where it's like Tom Brady is 10-0 in the playoff. And I didn't really understand what that meant. Like, I didn't really understand that. But now you see Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, these guys year after year after year, great quarterbacks. They go into the playoffs, they lose. They maybe win a game, they lose. Tom Brady, 3 years in, it wasn't until 2005, he started his career in 2001, that he lost a playoff game. Do you know how insane that is? And then, he's done so many things. I mean, multiple time MVPs. He could have been an MVP like 7 times. I mean, it's kind of like Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, where they kind of just get tired of handing you the award. And then 2007 was probably my favorite season of my life. I mean, I remember every single game. I remember every single detail of 2007. The undefeated season. 50 touchdowns. I remember every single touchdown. I could probably recall 2009, the comeback year. I remember that. The Bills game. I remember that. The first game. Just classic comeback after classic comeback. And there's times, even to this last game versus the Rams, people are doubting that he's going to come back. And I'm like, bro, I've seen this so many times. I can't even tell you. I've seen it in every season. The guy almost went to the Super Bowl in 2006, where I thought he was already the best quarterback in the NFL. He confirmed that in 2007 when he actually got receivers. Okay? But he actually got receivers in 2007. 2006, he went to the AFC Championship. His number one receiver was Riche Caldwell. He beat one of the best teams I've ever seen, the 2006 Chargers. And I know I joke about that, bro. That's one of the best teams I've ever seen. He beat that team with Riche Caldwell. I don't understand how this happened. And then he replicated that in his late 30s in 2013 with Kenbrell Tompkins. I don't know. How did this guy do this? Like, some of the things he achieved, the consistency, like every single year of his career, he had a winning record. That's insane. Every single year of his career, outside of one, he made the playoffs. Like, and then there was years where if a thing went their way, he could have won more Super Bowls. Like, you could say about Tom Brady and the Patriots and the Bucs even, that every season that Tom Brady was in the NFL, except for 2002, he could have won the Super Bowl. I don't think that's crazy to say. That is not crazy to say when you consider some of the injuries, some of the circumstances that happened. That is ridiculous. I don't think you can say that about any other player. Yeah, I could go through the list and name the factors for you, like every single season. I'm just ranting off the top of my head, bro. But like, this is crazy to me. This guy is unbelievable. I don't think we're ever going to see a player like this again. And this is a guy that not a lot of people understand. You know, Tom Brady is like Batman to me. And it's fitting because Batman and Tom Brady are like my childhood. And now we're going to get a Batman film in March. But he's like, you don't understand him. Like, it doesn't make sense. How is this guy? He's slow. He's not the strongest guy. It doesn't make sense to anybody. There was people in the chat, in my Discord saying, I don't understand. He's not the most talented. What is talent? What is talent, guys? What is talent? Talent doesn't mean anything in life. It doesn't mean anything. There are a lot of talented people in life. Tom Brady won because he worked the hardest. And that is what is so amazing about his story. He worked the hardest. He became the smartest. His IQ, the way he played the game, is off the charts. And I think a couple of the factors when you talk about physical gifts, they always go under the radar with Tom Brady. Guys, this guy had one of the best arms in the NFL at 44 years old. Watch his highlights from this season. He had one of the best arms in the NFL. He had one of the best deep balls in the NFL this year. This year. And you go back, you watch his highlights from like 05, 06, 04. The guy had a great arm, and it goes underappreciated from that standpoint. His pocket presence, best in NFL history. But that is also from preparation. That is the incredible thing about Tom Brady. Everything about his game comes from preparation and work ethic. His arm wasn't the strongest in 01, but he became strong because he worked at it. He got faster as he aged because he worked at it. He became the smartest because he worked at it. He was a student of the game. He trained. That is what's so incredible to me. Guys, if you haven't already, let me know in the comments how you feel about Tom Brady retiring. Make sure you give this an LFG. Give it a like for the GOAT. Gronk spiked that like button. He had a great accuracy. He's up there all time. We don't know if he's retiring, but I'm going through the process here, okay? I'm going through the process. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'm definitely willing to answer any questions you have about Tom or anything else. Let's try to keep it on the subject of Tom Brady. We have a comment. I'm a Packers fan. Greatest to ever pick up a football. Nothing but sorrow in this moment. The GOAT. Goodbye, Tom. Thank you for that. Low Bello says Tom Brady would win the Super Bowl with the Niners his first season. Tom Brady could have won the Super Bowl with any team. And here's the thing people don't understand. This is what drives me nuts. I understand everybody's got haters, and I understand that's just the business of it, and people are going to dislike athletes that are successful and people that are successful in general because humans are stupid people. But, you look at his career, right? He won with, and this is why quarterbacks should be measured on winning too, okay? So winning matters. He won with good defenses. He won with bad defenses. He won with good receiving cores. He won with bad receiving cores. He won with a run game. He won without a run game. He won with Belichick. He won without Belichick. He won with McDaniels. He won without McDaniels. He won with Moss. He won with Gronk. You could go through his career. You can't say that there's one consistent theme for why he won, right? And that is the unique thing about Tom Brady to me, is that he won all the time, no matter what. Some quarterbacks were really great, but if you strip certain things away from them, they weren't as successful, or they had that odd 7-9, 8-8 season. That never happened to Brady at all. Big Data says, I'm not a big fan of farewell tours. Derek Jeter was pretty bad. He kind of sucked. Kobe's was also pretty mediocre. I disagree about Kobe's because that final game was worth it. But if anyone deserves a farewell tour, it was Brady. And for me as a fan, being a selfish fan, I would have loved to have seen a farewell tour. I would have loved to have seen, all of the great stuff about him talking to a player and waving to the crowd and giving a speech. I would have loved all that stuff, as a fan, that would have been great. It would have been a culmination of all the years in the NFL, and that would have been nice. But it's his decision on what he wants to do and how he wants to end it. I'm sure something's going to happen. There's been conversation about a lot of people on Twitter are saying they should just waive the Hall of Fame and put him in right now. And that to me would be a good idea. I think that would be pretty cool. And then you could have him have his speech this year and be the only guy that didn't have to wait to get into the Hall of Fame for the NFL. Because that's where he's at. Everybody recognizes that, he is the greatest ever. You should just put him in the Hall of Fame. That to me is a great idea. What is your favorite Brady Super Bowl? My favorite Brady Super Bowl, individual Super Bowl for him? Or game. So my favorite game as a fan of the Patriots is Super Bowl 49. I think the best Tom Brady Super Bowl is Super Bowl 51. And if you go back and watch Super Bowl 51, the reason I would say that was Tom Brady's greatest performance is because of some of the throws he made in that game. So if you go back and watch the game, I personally believe that only Tom Brady in the history of the NFL could have completed that comeback. and you watch the throws he makes, especially outside the numbers, to guys like Chris Hogan and Malcolm Mitchell. It was such a culmination of what made Tom Brady the GOAT at that time. He was working with no Gronk, right? Really Edelman, and Edelman made that amazing catch. I think Super Bowl 49 is my favorite game as a Patriots fan, but Super Bowl 51 is the best Tom Brady game in terms of Super Bowls. Christopher says Brady will always be on the Mount Rushmore. He's the GOAT. He is a once-in-a-lifetime. When I think of the NFL, I think of Brady similar to Austin in WWE. You Wish says Tom Brady gave you the best chances to win. That's why you won all the championships. Ben says he was very surprised that he lost to the Eagles after beating the Falcons. Yeah, I mean, he had an incredible game in that one too. Thank you, Daniel, for becoming a member, by the way. What's up, Ryan? Thanks for joining the chat, man. He says Tom's the GOAT. I'm not sure if he's retiring or not, but I'm going through the process regardless. Ben says, Mitch, do you think Brady would have won last year if the Chiefs' offensive line was healthy? Yes. I think the Bucs were the better team, especially the way that they rode to the playoffs. Like, they had to go through the Saints, which is a team that always beat them. Like, to beat the Saints, after they beat the Saints, I kind of knew they were going to win the Super Bowl. It's just like, it's every year there's that game where if you beat that team, or at least I have this sense, if you beat that team, you're going to win the Super Bowl. Like, similar to Brady Patriots 2014, when they beat the Ravens, I was like, I think they're going to win the Super Bowl, because the Ravens were that team where it was like they were a really tough team for them. Like, as a matchup, it was just really hard for them to beat the Ravens for whatever reason. You know, so whenever you beat that team, so they beat the Saints, and then they go to Lambeau and they beat Rodgers, who I thought the Packers were better than the Chiefs last year. And then they beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. But yeah, I don't think it would have mattered. Matthias says, I've never heard about Tom Brady in football till Super Bowl 49. He saw it the first time on ESPN Brazil and was impressed with the game. The player was a new world to me. You were so lucky for having TB all time. That's a very cool perspective. Thank you for that. Big Data says Brady legitimately could get a standing ovation in every road stadium if he plays one more year. And yeah, he should get maybe Gretzky Hall of Fame treatment, universally retire his number. That would be very interesting if they retired his number. I'm sure Tom Brady, New England, and Tampa will probably do it. For the 12 number, but I'm not sure about the NFL just because that is such a famous number that is worn by so many other quarterbacks. Lenny says Mitch's favorite Super Bowl is the next one. Yes. Philly fan says, never mind. Not going to read that one. Not up for that stuff, guys. Ultra says, can we not with Super Bowl 51? What Tom Brady touchdown do you remember the best? Ooh. There's so many. Just off the top of my head. 2007 Randy Moss, record breaker. 2014 divisional round versus the Ravens, Brandon LaFell throw. Julian Edelman, Super Bowl 49. For whatever reason, the first touchdown that the Patriots scored, where Brady threw it to James White versus the Falcons. I don't know why I remember that, but I do. The David Givens Super Bowl 39 touchdown where he throws it into the corner of the end zone. I just remember watching that touchdown so many times on highlights. Like, you guys don't understand. I used to watch highlights of Tom Brady, like his 01 to 04 highlights, like every day after school. Like, it was ridiculous. I was like 10 years old. I got my own computer, and I would just search up Tom Brady highlights. He used to have like Red Hot Chili Peppers on there. Like, it was classic. And then I remember the Deion Branch AFC Championship fake reverse play bomb touchdown. The Bethel Johnson a deep touchdown versus the Titans in 2003. What else? What else do I remember off the top of my head? The Ben Watson, like I said, 2009 week 1. The Randy Moss touchdowns versus the Dolphins in 2007. There's so many. I mean, there's so many. I could go on and on about touchdowns that I remember. Even some of the Bucs touchdowns that he had, like last year to Scotty Miller, the Packers game. The Gronk touchdown in the Super Bowl. The Gronk touchdown versus Seahawks in the Super Bowl. I love that one. Kaylee, what's up? She says, I'm not a Tom Brady fan. However, I appreciate his talent and enjoy watching him play. Unless he played the Steelers. Yes, the Steelers fans don't really love him so much. Big Data says Super Bowl 49, Brady's 2 drives in the fourth quarter against the LOB is probably the most impressive thing I've ever seen. Fortunately, the goal line interception makes people forget. That is true. For whatever reason, people think of that of the Malcolm Butler, Marshawn Lynch game and not the Tom Brady game, which they should remember it as the Tom Brady, Julian Edelman game, in my opinion. Lenny says Brady's retirement is the cap off to the new generation. The NFL will never be the same. And ultimately, that's okay because without Joe Montana, we wouldn't have Tom Brady. That's true. So Patrick Mahomes obviously said that Tom's the GOAT. Understandable. And good show of respect by Patrick Mahomes, who's going to be the face of the NFL for many years. Respect to him. Hopefully he carries that legacy forward. Honestly, I don't think anyone is ever going to be Brady, but as long as they lead the NFL the way that he did off the field, on the field, you got to respect it. Alter says, as a Peyton fan, Brady is the GOAT. We will never see another player like him. There is no perfect career in sports, but he was as close as it gets. Stats, rings, longevity, accolades, all of it. Yeah, very true. Which Tom Brady touchdown do you... I already answered that. Where does he belong in like the all-time GOAT conversation, like sports-wise? I don't really know like that answer. I know a lot of people are going to be debating that. That's really tough because they're all different sports and especially team sports. It's hard to quantify what a player meant to a team, or like they're all different, and I think they should just all be into one conversation. Yeah, I'm not sure officially if he's... I'm assuming he's going to retire. The Amendola AFC Championship. Yeah, that's a good one. The run versus the Raiders. Yep. That's one of my favorites. I specifically remember the spike. When he gets into the end zone and the spike and he falls down while spiking the ball. Thomas says, what do you think the odds are that Brady will play next year? I'll say 30%. What happens to the Bucs when he officially retires? I think the Bucs go back to being the Bucs, unfortunately. And guys, I'll say this about the Bucs. You know, I kind of fully admit bandwagon the Bucs when Tom Brady became a member of their team. But I will say this, I have a soft spot for those players, you know, having cheered for them as basically a fan of their team for the last 2 years. So I'll cheer for those players no matter what. I'm not a huge Arians guy, and I'll come out and say that, but I still like the Bucs, like, no question. I think the Bucs probably going to go back to being the Bucs, unless they get another great quarterback. If they go out and trade for Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers, then hey, we could talk. I don't think Aaron Rodgers would be traded there, and I personally don't think Russell Wilson would be traded there either, but hey, I think they need to get a quarterback. They still got some talent, but I'm not sure, unless you have a great quarterback, that they'll be able to work with that team and with that coach specifically. Gene says, lifetime Denver Broncos fan. Never been a big fan of Tom, but respect his game. One of the best to play. I hope he enjoys retirement and good luck with whatever he decides to do. Whatever he decides to do is most likely going to be some sort of combination between TB12, probably like lifestyle sort of stuff. You know, you see him opening up his Brady clothing line, so I'm sure it's going to be some sort of like lifestyle brand oriented stuff. I don't see him being involved in football. A lot of people think he's going to be like a GM or a coach. I don't see that. Is it official that Brady retired? No, but I'm just speculating, and that's why the title is Tom Brady Retiring ? It's not Tom Brady has retired reaction. So just so you guys are aware, everyone that's saying he hasn't retired, I know. Chris says, of the years that Brady didn't make the Super Bowl, which year was the year he should have went if things were just a little different? Okay. The one team that stands out is 2015. I think that 2015 Patriots team was very, very good. I think Tom Brady was very good that year as well, and only didn't win MVP because Cam Newton did something spectacular that year. But Tom Brady, that team was very good. You look at that team on paper, and the only reason they didn't make the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl is because of the injuries they sustained. They lost all of their running backs. Dion Lewis was having an incredible year that year. He went down. They had Steven Jackson at running back. They lost Nate Solder at left tackle. I believe they lost their right tackle as well. And they lost, they had Edelman in the AFC Championship playing with a broken ankle. Their defense was pretty good. Like, they had like Akeem Hicks and stuff too, guys. Like, that's when like Hightower was in his prime. Collins was in his prime. Like, that was a good team. And just a few things went wrong for them injury-wise. But that was a very good defense. And they lost by 2 points, to the Broncos, who won the Super Bowl in Denver, which, if things just went different in the first game versus the Broncos, if they would have been healthy. I remember his best receiver in that game was like Scott Chandler, and they almost won the game. They lost in overtime. And then they had to travel to the Denver Broncos because of that, Mile High. And because they had to travel, I think that's partly why they lost. But on top of that, they had a bunch of guys hurt. So, yeah, 2015 is the team and the year that I look at and say he probably should have won. Obviously, 07 is like clear and obvious. Like, duh. 2017, they went to the Super Bowl. 2007, they went to the Super Bowl. Other years that they were close, like 06 stands out because they had such a big lead versus the Colts. I think they definitely would have beat the Bears in the Super Bowl. And essentially the AFC Championship was the Super Bowl. And really what happened there was, I think a big deal was Rodney Harrison didn't play, and they had a bunch of injuries on defense. And then offensively, they just didn't have any receivers. I think if they probably don't trade Deion Branch before that season, they end up winning the Super Bowl. But then the thing is about that is, okay, you don't trade Deion Branch, you keep Deion Branch, but then you never get Wes Welker and Randy Moss. So that's how history unfolds. You learn from the things as well when you lose. You never know how that would come up. Yeah, there's many examples of that, though. What is Tom's highest degree of difficulty? What do you mean by that question? Christopher says, would you love to see Brady as a coach? No, honestly, no. Maybe a GM. I'd be interested to see how he would construct a team. Kaylee, thank you so much for the super sticker, by the way. You're the best. Jim Thorpe. Yeah, I think he's going to retire, guys. Personally, I think he's going to retire. 2021 was better than 2020. I think so, But I think so, like from a player perspective. But you've got to remember that 2020 is very impressive because the offseason and all the stuff happening in the world, first year with the team, first year in a new system in 20 years, first year with all this cast of new players, having to operate throughout a season with limited practice reps and trying to evolve. I think the fact that the guy literally went from the Patriots to the Bucs and won a Super Bowl is one of the most insane things I've ever seen in sports. Like, I don't think people really understand how difficult that is to do. Like, it happens in basketball. That doesn't happen in football. That does not happen in football. You're too old. Yes, I love that quote. That year that Chad Johnson came was 2011. 2011 was tough. They could have easily won that Super Bowl. There was a lot of things. If you go back and watch the game, the biggest factor to me was that Gronk broke his ankle in the AFC Championship game. I think if Gronk's healthy, even with as bad as the defense was that year, they would have beat the Giants. And they could have beat them if Welker catches the ball, to be quite honest with you. But I don't blame Welker for that because too great of a player to hold one thing over his head. Also, that was a year that they made the Super Bowl. I think 2016 is the season where is probably the most underrated season in terms of what he was able to achieve in that year. You think about the 2016 team, they lost one game, and the one game they lost was on the 1 yard line to the Seahawks. Like, that's insane. They lost one game on the 1 yard line on the final play. It was kind of like the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 49. And other than that, they didn't lose with Tom Brady. And they dominated the playoffs until the 28-3 comeback. They won the Super Bowl without Gronk, their second best player. That was a really good team too. Like, they dominated the Steelers in the AFC Championship. They beat them by like 20 points. In his career, what was the worst team he played with but was still successful? Probably 2013. They made the AFC Championship that year, and I really don't know how, looking back at it. Who will win the NFC South? I don't know. The Falcons, maybe? The Panthers? I would probably lean towards Atlanta, knowing that Matt Ryan right now is their quarterback. I don't know who the Panthers quarterback is. Wisco says Tommy was carried by Bill. Yeah, that's why he won a Super Bowl the year after he left him. Nathan says, I believe Brady should go out with an MVP, but people like to hype up Rodgers. That will actually be interesting to see if they retroactively go back and give Brady the MVP after Rodgers got eliminated in his first playoff game and played like crap, and then Brady retires, if he does end up retiring. That would be kind of funny, and I don't know if that would be something messed up there, but I would wonder what the vote would be now if people could vote now, knowing that Rodgers lost his first playoff game. I wonder how that vote would go down. And that's no hate towards Rodgers. He had a great year. I'm just throwing that out there because I know a lot of people were split on that conversation for MVP. It's not officially official, no. It's not official till Tom. That's like people were like sending me stuff. Like my friends and stuff. And they're like, Brady retired, Brady retired. I'm like, well, did he say he retired? Because like, I don't know. You can't really say. 2017 was another year where Again, guys, I could go through every single season almost. 2017, Edelman hurt the whole year. Hightower hurt. Malcolm Butler doesn't play the Super Bowl. Brandon Cooks gets hurt in the first quarter. And they only lost on the last possession. Strip sack, ended the game. Could have went down and scored. And Brady, I think, had his worst play of the game on that play, because all he had to do was throw it to James White, who was open in the flat, and he even said that. But he had 500 yards. They lost, so. Defense wasn't very good, but Jonathan Jones was also a huge loss for that team too. But that's just how close. That's just how great Brady was, right? Like for a lot of players, like they would have never came close to that. To getting to a Super Bowl without Hightower, Edelman, and John Jones, like that, for most quarterbacks, that never happened. Christopher says, if Brady wins MVP, do you think if he does retire, change his mind to play one more season? No, I think it would just be a nice cherry on top. It's funny, though, that he said he'd play till 45 for quite a long time. He also said that he'd play until he sucks. I think he's just getting a little bit... It's probably more a factor of, like, his home life. It's probably more like, I gotta retire, family, and my kids are getting older. It's probably all that sort of stuff. Something about 2003. Where would 2003 Brady rank among the young quarterbacks today? So, Chris, I do think 2003 Brady is very, very, very underrated. And mostly that is because people go back and look at that season and all they look at is the stats. But people don't understand, especially younger people, that stats have changed drastically in the NFL. So 2003 Brady would be, I guess it depends who you consider a young quarterback. So he was in his fourth year, technically. So what year is Mahomes in right now? His fourth year? So, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. So is this technically his fourth year? Or no, his fifth year, I guess, because one season he didn't play, right? So he would have been a year younger than Mahomes is now. So he'd be Josh Allen's age, right? I believe he finished third in MVP voting that year in 2003. I think he was a top 3 quarterback in the NFL at that time. If I had to rank him right now, it's really hard because these guys nowadays have such gaudy stats. I would say that he would be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. In a lot of ways, he's actually, who I would kind of compare him to in 2003 is Joe Burrow. I think in many ways he's similar to Joe Burrow at that time. Maybe, about the same, maybe a little bit better, but it's pretty close, I would say. He's probably about a top 5 quarterback nowadays. Samuel says, what happened in 2010? Defense. The defense wasn't good. The offense was good. Brady was great. And they also, that was a year where they played a team that was a really tough matchup, right? They had certain matchups over the years. The Jets with Rex Ryan were one of them, where they would lose a game a year to the Jets. And really that game came down to the Patriots couldn't get stops. Their defense couldn't stop the run. Mark Sanchez kept throwing slants to Santonio Holmes. They had no cornerbacks. Like, their defense wasn't good. Wasn't really the offense's fault. They had a bit of a slow start, but it was more so because of the defense than anything else. And the Jets were really, really good. Like, the Jets were stacked. The only thing the Jets didn't have was a quarterback. Big Data says back in the early 2000s, it was impressive if you threw 4,000 yards. And that's something about Tom Brady's legacy that I don't know how it's going to transpire over the years is it's going to be tough to be able to evaluate his yardage and touchdowns and things of that nature over the years, because now you've got an added game, right? the passing boom really began in 2011. So Brady had played a whole career before 2011. He played a whole decade. So his stats were, obviously he had the big spike year in 07. When you really look at the stats till 2011, that's where the stats start to spike for everybody. Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning. Tom played all those years before, and a lot of those years too, they were a very balanced offense, right? They were a very run, and the league was different too. Like a lot of running backs had huge totals through that era, like Priest Holmes, LaDainian Tomlinson, Sean Alexander. They all had historic seasons, even in 2005, 2006, 2007, 2004. So that was when Brady was really going off. That's what, to me, makes 04 Peyton's year so special, because it was so far ahead of everybody. 07 Brady so special because he was so far ahead of everybody. That wasn't, a lot of people look back at 07 as a year that was affected by passing boom, but that wasn't the case. That was just an amazing year by one player. When you look at when you just measure everybody's stats across the board. That's why when you talk about Brady, the conversation begins and ends with winning. And that's why I don't think he'll ever be surpassed, because people could say oh yeah, Mahomes retired with more passing yards, right? But, unless he gets 8 rings or he gets, 300 wins, I don't know how he's ever going to surpass Brady, because that is the thing that won't change. Is winning, right? Stats change in all sports, but winning doesn't change. Booby! Thank you. Says, round of applause for Tom Brady and for Mitch as well for giving us this platform to express our emotions and feelings. What was the start of Brady's prime? Oh my goodness. I don't know if Brady had a prime. And that is why it's so hard to quantify him. I don't even know if I can answer that question. I think the best Brady ever was physically is 2006, 2007. But he wasn't as smart as 2014 to 2017 Brady. And you look at Brady now, still awesome. It's really hard to say he had a prime. But if you were to say what year did Brady start to become great, was 03, I think. Whereas really where people were like, yeah, this guy is really, really good. It's not like he's just a manager of the game. He's really good. And I think that started in 03. What's up, Natasha? Which team or quarterback do you love watching Tom face? Peyton. Peyton for the quarterback. The team, I loved watching the Ravens games. I loved watching Steelers games. Who did he play the best against? That's an interesting one. He had some really good games versus the Bills. He had one game versus the Bills in 07. I think he's personally said that's his best game he's ever played. Maybe. Maybe it was. Chargers. I loved watching him play the Chargers. Broncos. Ultra says, I think Mitch has admitted that Peyton is the quarterback that he respects the most other than Brady. What is with Ultra and Peyton? Yes, that is true. He tore his ACL in 2008. Dylan says Brady versus Manning greatest rivalry ever. Probably not ever. But in terms of rivalries that mean the most to me in sports, yes, it's probably first. Do I see Gronk going to another team? Probably not. I could see Gronk retiring one. I could see Gronk. I hope Gronk continues to play. I still think he's got a lot left, but I could understand why he would retire. I would love to see Gronk play for the Bucs again, for the Patriots, or for the Raiders with McDaniels. Those are the only three places I could see him going to. Other than that, I don't think he'll go anywhere else. What is my favorite Brady game as a Buck? Man, that is tough. That is really tough. Is there one that really stands out? I don't know. I don't know, actually. I don't know if there is one that The Bills one is a good one. The Cowboys game, the first game of the year, was pretty epic. There was a lot, though, that he was really good in. I don't know if there's one that stands out. Odd Big King says, why do you think the Pats won like 3 Super Bowls 5 years and from 2014 to 19, but didn't win any from 05 to 13? So with the Patriots, there was a transition of talent and eras. So what really happened there is a lot of the Patriots players on defense specifically started to get older. So Belichick and the staff had to kind of recreate, like, for example, like Rodney Harrison became Devin McCourty. Teddy Bruschi became Dante Hightower. But that took a few seasons, right? I think really a lot of those years is because the defense wasn't as good. And then they did get back to the Super Bowl twice, and they were close to getting to other Super Bowls. For whatever reason, it just didn't turn out. Like, I think the 2010 to 2012 teams deserved one Super Bowl, and they probably should have won 2011, but, it didn't go their way. 07, obviously, I think they were the best team, but sometimes the best team doesn't win, But a lot of it had to do with just replenishing the talent and going from Dynasty 1 to Dynasty 2. And Brady was kind of like the glue between that. And he kind of like he carried the team more so than really he did when they were winning the championships. Because when you win championships, it's more so about great teams. Obviously, Brady is a great player, but it helps to have a great team. I talked about that, Ultra. Chris says, if you could go back in time and tell Brady and Belichick to do one thing, what would you say? Oh my goodness. That's an impossible question to answer. Oh my goodness, that's hard. I don't know. What would I say? I think I would say something before the Super Bowl in 07. about how they approach the game on offense specifically. Like something about the D line of the Giants or something like that. I don't know. That's really hard though. AFC Championship at Arrowhead. It's not my favorite, but it might be my favorite AFC Championship. It's a great game though. Depends who their quarterback is, Christopher. Aaron Rodgers says Valley. We'll see. Brady retires. Does this hurt the Bucs' playoff chances? Yes. It's a dumb question. Basically, the Pats from 05 to 13 were rebuilding and still making the playoffs every year at the same time because of Brady, says Big Data. Favorite Brady teammate? Edelman is the first one that comes to mind. I think they had the best rapport and relationship. Yeah, John Doe, I think the 05 team was just gassed because they won 3 out of 4 years. It's just very hard to get back. 06, they just didn't have a receiver. 07, obviously they were great. It was kind of after 07 where they started. Like 09 and 10, they went 14-2 in 2010, which is crazy because they were kind of rebuilding in 2010. It's weird to say that, but it's true. Do you like the Pats before Brady? I think I started to like them at the same time. I don't think I can distinguish that. Because I honestly don't remember. If Brady was drafted by the Niners, would he have become a Niner? Would I have become a Niners fan? I have no idea. Brady for Madden 23 cover athlete or deluxe edition. He's been the cover athlete like 2 of the last 5 years. But maybe a GOAT edition or something, a deluxe something. I don't know. You could do that. But John Madden also deserves a cover as well. I would love to see John Madden on the cover. Who's the happiest to see Brady retire? Mahomes. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Rodgers. Booby Joe says, what do you see in the future for Brady? Like I said earlier, I think he'll probably be doing a lifestyle brand and things like that. Continuing his TB12 stuff and his Brady brand. Who's my favorite quarterback if Brady retires? Well, Mac Jones. Other than Mac Jones, that's a good one, actually. Well, let's go through it. I like Josh Allen a lot. I like Derek Carr. I like Matthew Stafford. I don't know. Other than Mac's first for sure. Second, I guess Stafford. But I said earlier my favorite person's Kyle Shanahan. No, I said that to Ultra. How do I feel? I've been going over that for the last hour, bro. I felt sad. I felt angry. And then I felt joyful. I think I just feel like, I guess the feeling would be like grateful, I guess. I guess that would be the feeling at the moment, like grateful. Which ring is your favorite? The next one. No, the design. Probably, I don't know. I don't remember all of them, but I think the third one is one that I remember. Oh my God, Jake, shut up, bro. I'm not. Look at the title. Read the title. Read the title, bro. Big Data says, I don't know what the NFL is without Brady. I really don't know what the next season is going to feel like. Yeah, it's going to kind of be like a closed chapter. It's going to feel like a new chapter. It's going to feel like an open NFL. It's kind of felt that way since Brady moved from the Patriots, because the Patriots dynasty kind of is over, you know, their reign of terror. But now that officially Brady's gone, it's going to be different. Or not officially yet, but regardless, if he retires in a week, tomorrow, if he retires next year, same thing. Like, it's going to be way different. All right, guys. I think I'm going to end the video here. Thank you guys for joining me live. If you did enjoy this conversation and reaction and just rant, don't forget to Gronk spike that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. I'm sure all of you are already subscribed. Thank you guys so much for being here. It's awesome to talk Tom Brady's legacy and career with you guys. We'll be making plenty of content if he officially retires, for sure, about Tom Brady. And hopefully, I would, if he does retire, I hope that he retires very soon, because I want to be able to do, like, the bye week before the Super Bowl. I would love to do just a Brady week, but we'll see whenever that happens. I'd also love to see him play another year, so if he decides to play, then I'll be backing him, of course. But thank you guys for watching. It's Mitch. Peace.